Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So the world is collapsing and we are documenting this in real time. Guys, listen, get ready for tomorrow. Get ready for Friday. I just want to talk about the India-Pakistan conflict in a minute. We're going to talk about the Middle East in a wider, with a wider spectrum. But listen, guys, if you've not done so already, can you please hit those buttons below, the like, follow, subscribe, all those buttons that help this channel grow, and share on your socials. So India and Pakistan. So the Pakistani, so guys, this is just a quick outline, okay? India and Pakistan, there was a terror attack into India. The Pakistanis have been had the blame put on them. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's the perception. The Indians have sent in airstrikes, taken out these terrorist training camps, which I do think is a good thing. The Pakistanis are now vowing to respond. Let me just read you this update. Pakistan vows retaliation after India launches strike in wake of Kashmir massacre. Now, what we're talking about here, guys, is a conflict between two nuclear-armed nations. And for those of you guys who know history, there is no love lost between India and Pakistan. But one of the things I said, as soon as this, as soon as he said these airstrikes went into Pakistan, the first thing I said is, right, okay, guys, listen, the earliest that these guys can respond is Friday. So that would be tomorrow, Friday, the 9th of May. Friday, the 9th of May, 2025. Now, also Friday the 9th of May, there in the United Kingdom, there are protests planned. In fact, I think they're actually happening now. Let me just check. Yeah, Pakistanis are already in London protesting outside the Indian embassy, but the main protest is due to begin tomorrow, I think, at 2 o'clock. Now, just conceptualize this for 2 seconds, guys, okay? You've got all the Pakistanis outside the Indian embassy. They're all protesting. They're doing whatever. They're probably going to have free Palestine flags or something. They're all protesting outside the Indian embassy. And then the Pakistani government strike some locations in India. All those Pakistanis are then going to be cheering. That's going to rile up the Indians. The Indians are going to be out on the streets. And look, guys, in 2022, we had mass riots, protests, pitched battles in the United Kingdom between Indians and Pakistanis because of a cricket game. Can you imagine the fallout if these guys are in a fully fledged war, sending tanks over, and you can only imagine. Also, when I'm looking at all these things, I genuinely think that we're in the beginning of some sort of dystopian movie now. Like at the beginning of what's the movie, World War Z, at the beginning of the movie, where it's showing you all the news articles of things that are happening to catch the viewer up. Right now, it does seem like this, guys. And in the backdrop of all of this, you've got the popes inside the Vatican trying to choose a new pope. Literally, those popes could leave. They could go into the, they could go into the conclave or whatever it's called. And while they're in there, they're choosing a new pope. It may take a couple of days. When they come out, the world's on fire and everything's collapsing, and they're like, oh, right, well, this escalated quickly. So I would just say, ladies and gentlemen, just to reiterate, if I was a little bit sketchy there, this Friday, there are protests planned outside the Indian embassy by the Pakistani community in the United Kingdom. Also, I do think that the very earliest that the Pakistanis can respond militarily would be Friday. So you've got all these data points now converging on Friday, and potentially at Friday at 2 o'clock as well. So if you're anywhere around that area in London or in one of those communities, just be aware of what's happening and what's happening at what time and what could potentially be happening in between India and Pakistan. I don't think this is going anywhere, guys. And one of the main reasons I don't think this is going anywhere, because this trade deal between India and Pakistan, the trade deal between India and Pakistan was pushed through so quick without any scrutiny. That to me anyway, says that somebody went in there and they said, look, Keir, we're about to crack a war here. We need this trade deal real quick, and we're going to buy a ton of munitions off you. And then Keir Starmer was like, what? He's like, yeah, no, we genuinely need loads of munitions. He's like, okay, let's do it. Sign. So that's why I personally think that was pushed through. That's why I personally think that was rushed through. And again, always follow the money, guys. Always follow, the money. And why do I think things are going to escalate on Friday? if you know that these attacks are coming, and I've said this so many times, guys, okay? If you know these attacks are coming on a Friday, you know, when the stock market's closed, you can make a ton of money betting for or against something if you know what's going to happen. And again, like, I don't know if this is the case, but for example, and I don't know if this is, I'm just speculating here, guys. Okay. So just say, I don't know, think of an example, an oil pipeline, for example. Say there are 2 oil pipelines that ship oil out of country X. If you know that your country is going to drop bombs and destroy pipeline B, then you know that the company that runs pipeline A, the shares are going to go through the roof. So you would invest heavily in that company before you throw those bombs. And then once that pipeline's gone down, it's stopped, it's finished, it's not coming back, then those shares in the other pipeline would rise naturally. You know, you can go the other way and short the market or whatever. But what I'm saying here, guys, is that is why big things happen normally. I'm not saying it's going to happen. So I'm saying big things normally happen on a Friday because people can make a ton of money. And essentially, guys, the world is all about money, making money and taking other people's money, which is what the governments are fantastic at doing by taking our taxes. Also, guys, this terror attack that was foiled by, and I'm going to call it, guys, it was called by UK. It was foiled by UK Special Forces. I'm pretty sure I was the first person to say that this was Special Forces doing these, conducting these attacks, conducting these raids or arrests. Again, once you've got to understand the process of using Special Forces or military, I guess, inland United Kingdom, that means that the threat state and the likelihood of a kinetic exchange has gone up. I've talked about that in other videos, but what we know is 9, was it? No, it wasn't 9 at all. It was 7 men of Iranian descent have been arrested now. So we also know from, I'll put all these links in the description. We also know from mainstream media that the potential location of this, not what I expected. It was the Israeli embassy in the United Kingdom. So what we can do, guys, if we put these things together and we think, right, okay, well, we know there are definitely terror cells now working in the United Kingdom. How do we know this? Well, one of them's just being busted. I would speculate that there are more terror cells still operating in the United Kingdom. They've just not been opened up. They've just not been foiled yet. And again, it only takes one of these splinter cells to be working autonomously, and it becomes very difficult for those to be intercepted, guys. Okay, I still think I still think shopping centers, guys, are a huge. Oh, hang on. I still think shopping centers are a. Sorry. I still think shopping centers are a huge threat, ladies and gentlemen, and the food courts in those shopping centers. But it also came out today as well that the cost of the cost of asylum seekers in the United Kingdom processing their claims, food, accommodation, upkeep, it's tripled in cost. Just imagine this, guys, all right? Imagine this now. And I don't know if this is the case. I'm just speculating that I think there's a likelihood, but I don't know if this is the case. Can you imagine the absolute absurdity? The absolute absurdity. If these Iranian men came to the United Kingdom as asylum seekers, crossed over on the boat, crossed over illegally, they were put in hotels or whatever. And I genuinely don't know if this is the case. But can you imagine if that was the case? And we and the taxpayers, we are funding that. We are funding that. Surely there's surely there's a legal challenge there to say that we shouldn't be funding terrorism, especially when that terrorism is aimed against us. It's absolutely insane, guys. Like I said, I do think we're right at the beginning now of like, do you know what? It's not even the beginning, but it is it's not the beginning, it's not the end, but it is the end of the beginning. So the crux of this video, guys, was just, I really do think that there's a likelihood of further exchanges this Friday. There's a lot of data points with the protests, with the response by Pakistan. Again, what did they vow? They vowed revenge or something, or they've put their army on standby. I'll put the links in the description. And then what you've got to see as well is, you've got to look at this thing as on a wider spectrum. You've got to look at, obviously follow the money. India is China's biggest competitor for manufacturing. So the Chinese have come out in support of Pakistan. So now you've got Pakistan. Oh, guys, look, it's just come out. Right, okay. Right, it's just come out. I've just got an update there, guys. The Turkish are now supporting Pakistan. Remember what I've said, guys, on loads of videos. India and Turkey are going to be key players. Well, straight away, guys, the last 24 hours, they have drawn their cards. So India is on Team America. And Turkey is with Team Pakistan. That means that, you know, India and Turkey are now by default, India and Turkey by default are now enemies. And guys, look, this is just what we're seeing in real time. We're seeing these people and these alliances drawn, East versus West, whatever you want to call it. This is all happening now. And I don't think we're going to have a situation where somebody blows the whistle and goes, blue team, ready. Red team, ready. Like, I just don't see that happening, guys, okay? I do feel this India-Pakistan conflict it's not going to go away. The war in Ukraine, obviously, J.D. Vance came out the other night and he said something like, we don't think Russia's being serious, or what did they say? I think it was that. I think they said that they don't believe Russia's being serious, and then Donald Trump says, I might agree with JD Vance. And again, if they've been watching this channel, they would, all they need to do is watch my channel, and I'll tell them exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. But anyway, guys, look, I'm waffling on too long. I want the crux of this video to be simple. Be very aware this Friday, especially if you're going near the Indian or Pakistani embassies, anywhere in the world, actually. Also, if you live in the United Kingdom or anywhere that has a big Indian or Pakistani community, be very aware. I do think that this Friday is the earliest time that the Pakistanis could strike back. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's the earliest time. And again, it would make sense. You can make a lot of money if you know what's happening. You can bet on or short the stock market. Also, on a Friday, you get people skiving off work. You get people going out for drinks. You get people. It's just easier to get things done on a Friday. Anyway, guys, I'm going to back to grid. I'll get you guys another video later.